Hey everybody, quick preview to the opening for today's video. Just want to let you know we don't have too much of a tool restoration today. We had some work we had to do on the truck and we had to do some work upstate, but I brought you along just some content in case you're bored or something to watch. It is Memorial Day weekend. I hope you are enjoying it, so let's get to it. Scout Crafter here again. Mosh Monday. We're upstate. It's, you know, May is always tough. You get a lot of what they call May flies upstate. And just finished doing the first cut of the lawn. Let me show you around here. Look how nice the lawn comes. Huh? This is the first cut. And usually I let it go a little bit longer on the first cut, so this way it seeds itself when you cut the lawn. So looks pretty good there. And yeah, we're all ready. It just took about, to mow this, it's about 1.5 acres. It takes about a little over an hour to do. And I'm just going to plant some mammoth sunflowers. You know, the mammoth sunflowers, they're the ones that get like real tall. And I got to see a lot of leaning birches. That's a silver birch tree. They're nice, but the problem is they lean like crazy. And they can give you problems. If you look at the one above the, you see that up there? How it's snapped over there? And you got to be very careful when they're close to your house. The pond, it's a little bit low because we haven't had rain in a couple days, but and you could see some stuff jumping in there. Looks, maybe we got some frogs, little frogs here, and you could see that we have some trees that blew. We had a bad storm up here, and you see that tree back there, right? The one that see that one over there? We got to cut that one down. I'll take you back there. It's a there's a lot of neat little passages around here that I enjoy going to, but my favorite trees on the whole property, sorry about the shaking, are these over here. Aren't they beautiful? Look at that. I'm a pine man, spruce. I love those trees. Anything with pine needles, things like that. So here's a little pathway back here, and again, there's the pond, but back there, we got some issues, and I'll show you when we get there. Okay, we must have had like a little mini tornado pass through here. I told you last year, and you see it knock down these two trees, you see? And they're still rooted because they're starting to get some leaves on there. There's still some roots in there, but knock down those two trees. This one here's been down for a while, you can see. You see it leaning up there? You know, that you got to come with the chain. So that's a lot of fun to actually do. A little challenging because leaners, you got to be careful. But we're going to have to take that down. This is the other side of the pond here. You could see. And you know what's nice about these? When you get trees that fall into the water, it gives the frogs and things like that a way to climb up and sun themselves and not have to worry about predators along the shoreway. So yeah, and let me show you these trees I planted a while ago. Okay, here's the other, we're at the other end of the property here, you can see. Now look over here, you see these are green arborvitaes. What's left of them. I'll see if I got a picture I can put in what they look. I planted these. It was a hot time. Did a beautiful job and planted them straight in a row, and they were looking so beautiful, and they were pretty big, and the deer came and ate them. So you got to be careful when you have deer. There's certain trees and certain shrubs that they find like candy. So and you can see, like I said, there's a lot of falling trees over there that we're gonna have to take care of with the chainsaw. But yeah, it's really nice up here. It's always just so peaceful. Now this is Pat and Sue's house, the one that they sold me the property. That's a beautiful little home over there. And Pat built half of that himself. And you know, up here you could do stuff like that. Again, more leaners. You see this? When you have bad storms up here like that little mini tornado, it's you gotta have to either cut them down or something like that. But yeah, the white birches. This is just starting to come in. You could see all it, but it is a beautiful day. You could see, again, Memorial Day weekend. So It's always a nice time. It's an interesting story. You know, over here, this used to be a booming town, you see, and this was the main road. This was the main highway right here. And what happened was they built a highway just a block over that way, a new highway, and it bypassed this highway, and this town instantly turned into like a ghost town. This used to be a hopping ice cream stand, and there was all kinds of, there's the post office over there. It's bigger than the post office where I live, and I have like a couple million people fighting for 3 parking spots, and here they get a whole parking lot, and it's just a nice little town. But like I said, it turned into a ghost town. Here's the new highway that they built that turned this this town into a ghost town. But look at this, how cool is this? Look at this old drugstore. Every time I see this thing, it gives me a nostalgic feeling, you know? Can you imagine? This was probably hopping back in the days, in the 50s. Remember, this was a hopping town at the time. Now, here's the highway that killed the town, just like Route 66. Remember Route 66? Once they built the highway next to it, it killed the towns over there. Well, check this out. You see these, when they drilled into these rocks here, you could see, you see over here, they drilled into all these rocks to make, you know, to make the highway. And what's interesting is that all these little streams that are coming out of the stone, that's pure artesian water. So people come here with bottles and fill up their bottles with this water, because this is where New York City gets their water. Just a quick explanation about today's holiday. Today here is Memorial Day, and we celebrate that here in the United States. Memorial Day, actually we have 2 holidays, Veterans Day and Memorial Day, that are basically geared towards people that served in the military or whatnot. Veterans Day is where we show appreciation to everybody that served or are serving now, and anybody that wore the uniform or whatnot. And Memorial Day is where we honor the people that lost their lives while serving in the military. So that's the difference between the 2 holidays. Today is the more somber holiday, Memorial Day. It's one we cherish a lot here in the United States. There's a lot of parades and things like that. The history of this actual holiday goes back to just after the Civil War. It was called Decoration Day. And then after that, it really didn't become a federal holiday till about 1971 here in the States, where it became a national holiday. So today is Memorial Day, and I hope you appreciate it for what it is. I know I do, and I will be flying the flag proudly. And I hope you do too. So thanks very much about that. Okay, next up today we have a little bit of a project. If you notice my truck, look at the way it's parked. Now the reason I have this truck parked like this is because I don't want to have to jack it up. So I kind of pull one side on the lawn a little bit, and I can easily get under there. What had happened, I was upstate the other day and my heat shield started rattling. And if you have a vehicle, let me show you what happens. Now, if you have a vehicle that's 10 years or older, and you have a state that uses salt, you can guarantee this is going to be a problem for you. This is a heat shield. There's a bunch of them under the vehicle that usually protects the exhaust from the underside of the car. Now what happens is this is made of an aluminum type alloy, and those holes happen from like a galvanic reaction between the steel bolts or the zinc bolts and the aluminum. Anyway, you can see it rots out a perfect hole. One way to fix it is you could buy a new shield. God knows what that would cost, you know, but just a regular fender washer. We're gonna they're attached by little studs underneath. I'll show you them. Now, washers come in thousands of different varieties, sizes, thicknesses. They usually, a standard washer has a size hole compared to the size of the diameter of the washer, but this one here is a yellow zinc coated, so that's indicative of a hardened fastener, and this one here is a hardened washer that would go with a hardened nut and bolt. But when we talk about fender washers, you should really get one of these kits. You buy them as a you know, as an assortment, and they really are terrific to have. But a fender washer usually has a much larger body compared to the hole size, and that's what we're going to be using for this particular job. Okay, here we are underneath the vehicle, and you can see here there's the exhaust, and there's where the heat shield went. And if you notice, there's these little studs. You could see one here, you could see here, there's one, there's another one here somewhere, if I can find it. Here it is, this one here. Can you see? Sorry about the filming. This one here. Now what you have to do, the best thing to do is to scrub this down with a hand wire brush, then spray it with some 50/50 acetone and tranny fluid, although I'm using Krill today because it has a spray can. And then take those are 10 millimeter nuts, you take them down and put the shield back up with the fender washers. I'll show you that when we get there. Now here's the way I like to you just scrub this down, get all as much as you can of the dirt and corrosion off using this wire brush back and forth, and then spray it with a little Krill and or any kind of penetrant and let that sit. See here we're using Krill and air Krill, and then we'll spray this over here like this and try not to get any on the lens. Just takes a little bit, you see, and you want a little bit to drip on the exhaust. This way there's always that nice smell that you get when you're driving. I was referring to Krill. This is what I was talking about. This is a Cano makes this. It's called Aero Krill. This is a really good penetrant. Really good. I also like PB Blaster, but PB Blaster really has a smell to it that if you get it on you, you'll smell all day. But nothing, even this, nothing beats the 50/50 automatic transmission fluid and acetone. That stuff is fantastic. But this stuff is really good, and being that it has a spray can, it's very easy to get it where you want. Now, one thing that I like to use is a 6-point socket when you're dealing with a rusty fastener like this, and this is where they come in handy, a 6-point socket. You don't want a 12 or 18-point socket. Okay, and we're finished. Look at this, nice and tight. That's the way it should look. All the bolts came off. It just takes a little bit of prep time. It only took one socket, one 10 millimeter socket. But look at this. We have another heat shield here, again above the exhaust here. And look over here. See? This is what I'm talking about. See that? It's loose up there. See? Can you see that? So now I'm going to have to do one more up there. That's above the exhaust. I think that one right up there. See it? Right there. I'll take care of that, and then we'll call today. You know, there aren't too many projects that are rewarding like that one is, and it's you save a lot of money. You know, a new heat shield from Toyota's got to run $50, you know, and if you have them do it, you know, I'm sure you never get out of the dealership for less than $100. So this, the total cost of this fix was maybe $3 in washes if you bought them at Home Depot or something. So it's definitely a fix that if this is a problem you're going to have, or you have a 10-year-old car, you will have it sooner or later. Put it back up there. Don't drive without it, because the heat shields, especially if you're stuck in traffic on a hot road or hot day, you know, that exhaust gets real hot and you don't want to start heating up the bottom, you know, and cooking your carpets. So if you ever have that problem, it's an easy fix. I think you should do it. I was reviewing the tape. We're only at about 14 minutes. Anyway, we got time for a real quick one. I was watching one of my, a person I subscribe to, John Fix, good friend of mine, does great tool restorations. I'll put his, in the link below, I'll put his YouTube channel. Anyway, John did a great thing on C-clamps. I said, man, I was just dying to do a C, and I got this from Brian O'Hare. This was in Brian's box, and it's an old USA, you could see here, and it says semi-steel. That's what it, you know, and so this is just the feel of this. I said, this is going to come out nice. Let's do it real quick. Let's go. Here we are at a post wire brush evaluation. I ran this under 3 different wire brushes. And you can see this is the original fit. That's not damaged from rust. That's the original casting finish on here. And you can see it's very nice. If you were going to paint it, this would be perfect, because this is very grippy for the paint. But I want to see what will happen if we can try and get some of this cleared up. You know, I really should just paint it and leave it as it is. You know what's funny? This here is a nail. Somebody must have lost the original rod, and they made a nail, and they pounded over the end of a nail. We're going to replace this because a nail is too soft of a metal to use for that. It'll bend, as you could see. So, but that's the finish now. Let's see what we can do with it. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what Brian's clamp looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful now? And you can see here it's done up the way we like it. But what's so nice about this, it just feels so, the steel, I don't know, I've never used a semi-steel, I don't even know what it is. But what we did here, we replaced the handle. Now this is called music wire, which is a spring steel. They used to sell it in the hobby shops and things like that. And this stuff is super strong, super hard. This is what you have to use if you want to replace that. It'll never bend. And you can see we did the brass caps here. And we did some knurling on the caps. You could see the caps are knurled. And I just thought it came out really nice. It's a nice little clamp, nice, very smooth. Something you would definitely grab if you needed a clamp. Waxed it up. And it's very smooth, you could see now. And it's just a beautiful clamp. Brian, thanks so much. I wonder if you ever used this or this was just thrown in the box or whatever the deal is. But really appreciate it. And let's see. So in closing, special thanks to Brian O'Hare for that sweet clamp. Don't forget to check out John Fix. His YouTube link is in the description. And never forget what this holiday's about. I hope you enjoy it. Take care now. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.